what you want, when you want it, where you want it. This is The Mesh.
Have you been to Cranford Brothers Barbecue yet? Every day, Cranford Brothers Barbecue serves the best smoked meats, sides, sandwiches, and craft beer, all produced on site in downtown Hickory, North Carolina. Visit Cranford Brothers Barbecue today for lunch or dinner and find out everything that's happening at the historic Old Pawn Shop. That's the home of Cranford Brothers Barbecue, City Walk Brewing Company, and the great new breakfast spot, Main Chick Jam and Biscuits. Be sure to call Cranford Brothers Barbecue to cater your next game day get-together or special event. Your guests will always remember the best barbecue bites they get from Cranford Brothers Barbecue. Visit CranfordBros.com to learn more or plan your visit today. Ladies and gentlemen, barbecue enthusiasts, all locations, the Low and Slow Barbecue Show is coming to you with another Pitmaster interview for the Carolina Barbecue Festival. I'm your host, Chigger Willard. Our guest today is Eric Pickle from Smoked Pickle Barbecue in Knoxville, Tennessee. Eric, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so excited to talk to you. And before we start talking to you, I want to give everybody a quick reminder, get all the stories from the Carolina Barbecue Festival Pitmasters at our website, lowslowbbqshow.com. You can subscribe to the newsletter while you're there, visit the blog, you hear more stories about our Pitmasters, and of course, go over to the episodes. We've got all the interviews with everybody participating in this year's barbecue festival, all at lowslowbbqshow.com. So let's get to Eric. He's one of our Pitmasters in the festival for the first time this year. And before we get into all that, Eric, tell me about Smoked Pickle Barbecue. What is it?
Yeah, I appreciate it. I was the late addition to the festival this year, and so we're happy to be doing it. So, Smoked Pickle Barbecues, we're a craft. We call it craft barbecue and catering business, and we're actually in West Knoxville, if you're familiar with the area. And we right now operate as a food truck and a catering business out of a physical commissary in Knoxville. We are in the process of building right now, building a retail location. It's going to be an outdoor location, but moving out of the truck eventually and into this retail location. So that's an ongoing process for 2025. The name obviously comes from my last name.
Mm-hmm.
When we were doing this, when we started doing it several years ago, we called it the Smoking Pickle. Thus, where a lot of this came from. We had a different logo and all this stuff, and we were actually thinking about changing the name. And we were going through all this different stuff, and we were like dead set on changing it to 1796 Barbecue, which is the year Tennessee was founded, and kind of taking the play on that with the Tennessee logo. And I had a buddy of mine who was like, dude, he's like, you can't change it. He's like, people know who you are; they'll never forget that name. And so we kind of from there we're like, you know what, you're right. We got to do that. So we really went all in on it. So if you see our logo, it's got the pickle flame burning on it, and it's a good play on words. But it's honestly like it's an unforgettable name. We get a ton of hits on Google, and just from that, and people never forget it. So that's kind of where it came from. But that's who we are and where it came from.
Gotcha. And hey, I work in marketing on the side. As somebody in marketing, you've got a great brand right there with Smoked Pickle. Don't let go of it. Yeah. It's part of your name. Yep. You've already got some recognition there. So wise of you to keep that there with you. So tell me, what is the Smoked Pickle experience? What would somebody expect when they find your truck out in the world?
That's a great question. So, when we started, we were very, I would say strict and very bound to do Central Texas style barbecue. Like that was a thing that, it's been hot for several years now. People know that, especially during COVID, when barbecue blew up, when everybody's getting grills and Traegers because they were home, that kind of thing, like Texas barbecue just became, over the last 10 years, just huge. And we weren't really any different from that. So that's kind of where we started. As far as when they come to the truck now, we've evolved some, and I can dive further into that. But our number one seller is brisket and Texas style beef, so brisket, beef ribs, that kind of thing. Pork, we have evolved some there, and we do more Carolina style pork now. So we actually will do throughout a service week. Right now, we don't have full service weeks. It's winter, so we're 1 day a week. But during a full service week, like a Thursday through Saturday, you'll catch us doing pork, for example, like more of a Texas style pork on an offset smoker on like a Thursday or Friday, and then we'll catch us doing Carolina style pork on a coal fire, direct fire smoker. Maybe just salt and skin and that
Mm.
pork shoulder, skin on pork shoulders, doing that. Ribs we do, so we actually do what we call a hybrid rib. Tennessee's notorious, Memphis is notorious for dry ribs. So we don't really follow that adage. We do spare ribs, but we do Texas spare ribs. So we do, black pepper and
Mm.
salt. We
Hmm.
cook them on an offset, and then we actually move them to direct fire to finish them off. So it's kind of something really unique that you might find there. And then our poultry obviously is cooked over coals, very similar to what you might see in the Carolina region and in Alabama. And so we kind of really don't. Knoxville is just a kind of a hodgepodge, like it's just whatever we want to do. Basically, is Knoxville style barbecue, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's what you'll if you come find us, you'll get that. We do four sauces. We have our what we call our Tennessee red sauce. It's more of a traditional ketchup base, brown
Mm.
sugar base, honey based sauce, and then we have the vinegar, the Carolina vinegar, which is straight out of the Sam Jones playbook. We have what we call a Tennessee white sauce. So we don't call it Alabama white sauce in Tennessee. It's a big football rivalry. We do a lot of
I
catering
didn't
for the
know.
University of Tennessee. Yeah, yeah. So we do a lot. We picked up a lot of catering for the University of Tennessee and specifically for the football team. So when we started bringing the sauce over there, it's like, hey, somebody told the guy who runs nutrition over there is like, you can't call it Alabama white sauce. He's
Mm.
like, we're not going to have that. So we have that, and then we have a mustard sauce too. So we've borrowed pretty good from all the regionalities. But if you come see us, that's basically what you'll see. You'll see five meats, six meats on some days, four to five sides. We rotate those, and then depending on what the day is, kind of the style kind of changes a little
Okay. Now you mentioned you got a connection there to the football team in Knoxville.
bit.
Where else can like the general public find smoked pickle barbecue?
Yeah, so like we mentioned from the outset, so we've been a mobile food truck, meaning, I mean, we'll pretty much, we'll go work gigs. We do a ton of catering. That's changing for us. Basically effective immediately. We have a 3 acre area that's currently under construction.
Mm.
We'll be putting up seating structures. We'll be moving the trailer permanently in that location. So if you're familiar with like a Damp Good barbecue with what
Mm.
Nick has done
Hmm.
down in the Raleigh area, it's going to be something that looks kind of similar to that.
Mm.
In that same time, we'll be in the trailers that we are also in the process of sketching out and building out a couple buildings. And that experience, we hope to have those done by the end of the year, is going to be more of like a Snow's barbecue experience. No indoor seating, but you go inside to order and pick up your food, and then you come and sit in an outdoor pavilion. You have your smokers in the pavilion next to that pavilion where you can kind of see the pit masters work. And then we have a catering kitchen next to that. So right now, Saturdays is our only day we're open on the food truck. We literally set up just outside the gate of that property, and
Mm.
people just come pick up food from us from 11 until we sell out, which is typically before dark for us right now. So, and if you follow on social media, our website, that's where we post all that.
Yeah, you get all the details, find them as they
Hmm.
appear. And of course, you can find them at the Carolina Barbecue Festival coming up April
Yeah,
4th and 5th. I'm excited to meet you. And I know some of the other pit masters that I've spoken with are looking forward to meeting you guys and finding
yeah.
out more about you and actually seeing you face to face and in person. And as we kind of start those conversations, Eric, tell me, how did you get into this barbecue world? Why and how and when? What got the fire started for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. I often we get asked this question, and I feel like sometimes I'm like, I have the same answer as other people, and then when I really actually get down the nitty gritty of it, actually, it's everybody has a unique story, but I've always loved to eat. I'm not a small guy. Most guys that do this aren't small guys. Like you have to love to eat inherently, but I can remember being a kid and my grandfather, my maternal grandfather, taking us to like a barbecue place, and just like every week he liked to take us out to eat. After school, he would pick us up from school even when I was in preschool and take us, and we'd like eat rich and that kind of stuff. But
Mm.
it really kind of started. I lived in Tennessee till I was 18. I went to school in Virginia. I moved when I was 18 to Charlottesville, Virginia area. If you're familiar, it's about an hour west of Richmond. It's home of the University of Virginia. There's where I went. And I actually ended up staying in that area for about 10 years after I graduated from there, and there was a spot in this little town. I lived outside of Charlottesville called the Barbecue Exchange. There was a guy named Craig Hartman started. He was an executive chef for Keswick, which is like a this 5-star resort, a 5-star chef, Michelin star type thing.
Mm.
And yeah, he just went started a barbecue place, and so I would take. I was in sales at that time. I was not doing anything in the culinary world, but I went and ate there like every week, and I was ordering food to go like at least once a week. So I was eating there twice a week. Not a lot of brisket, but they just had just killer pork and these sauces that were just incredible. And so I kind of bought a smoker at that time and started filling around the backyard. That was horrible. My appetite for brisket really didn't start until I actually moved back to Tennessee, changed jobs, and then I got on a plane and I was in sales, still doing this, but traveling, and I had customers in Dallas, Houston, and Austin, and that's when like my mind just went,
Yeah.
holy cow, So I started going down there, and this was, basically from about 2018 to 2020 before COVID stopped travel. I mean, whenever I was there, I wanted to take customers out to eat. And first couple times I went down there, I went down some Monday and Tuesday. And so finally, one of the guys who I was taking, he's like, "Hey man," he's like, "you need to come back on like a Thursday and a Friday and let me take you to like the spots."
Yeah.
So, we go down there, we hit them, we hit Franklin, we hit Salt Lake, we hit, all the major spots there. And that was really like when I bought my first offset smoker in 2020 during COVID was, I went to another job. I stopped traveling for that job, changed jobs, and went to a job. Unfortunately, I was working in schools in a sales environment, and so I had nothing to do when COVID
Mm.
started. It's kind of like just cook meat, and so we actually have always, when we've gone down, we've grew up traveling to South Carolina to go to the beach every single year, like
Hmm.
like a lot of people in Tennessee do.
Yeah.
Like, and we started stopping at these different places we would go to. And one of the places we would stop was in Hemingway at Scott's, at the
Hmm.
original Scott's
Yeah.
barbecue, Rodney Scott's father. And so I love stopping to get pork there. And more recently, we've gone down, I've stopped and seen Robbie at City Limits. We've stopped and seen Scott's A1, which is also in Columbia. My wife had lived in Columbia for a while. And so kind of this hodgepodge kind of all came together. And so in 2020, I kind of got, this when it started running for me. I actually got laid off from this job. Basically, we took a pay reduction. I was like, hey, you know what? I could probably try to make some barbecue and try to sell it on the side. And so we started doing what we call our very illegal backyard barbecues during COVID. So it's like, hey, we're putting on Facebook and we'd be like, hey, we've got, 4 pork butts, 4 briskets, like 6 racks of ribs, X turkey, like buy it by the pound. And people we didn't know would Venmo us money
Yeah.
on a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We would shut off the orders, and then we would meet them at like Academy Sports or Publix on Saturday and just like have them pick it up. And so it was just like this crazy, only in COVID and like this dystopian, world could these
Right.
things happen. So we got shared on social media quite a bit. I took a little break when our second daughter was born, but I mean, basically from there, it was just like it was off to the races. Before we know it, we're doing pop ups, we're buying a trailer, buying a smoker. Like every time my wife turns around, we're buying a smoker. I always say every time we've had a kid, I bought a smoker, which is true. We have taken delivery of 4 different smokers in or around that type of time. But it's been such a light speed thing for us. Like it's hard to pinpoint one particular, but I would say that time during COVID that we spent, which is really a hard time for us. I mean, financially, it was a hard time for us.
Mm.
Had 2 kids within 14 months of each other in 2020 and 2021. But it was also just like this catalyst for creation that helped us just kind of blow this thing out. And ever since then, every single year, our business has doubled basically since we started doing it.
Yeah, and that makes a great segue because I first found Eric Pickle and Smoked Pickle Barbecue, unfortunately, after some terrible times for Western North Carolina and Eastern
Yeah.
Tennessee and after Hurricane Helene. And I became
Mhm.
aware of some of the stuff that you were doing. And I just want to talk to you a little bit about,
Yeah.
how and why did you decide to get involved with people, again, strangers you didn't
Yeah.
know in a place you didn't know, and be such a critical lifeline to a support for a lot of people in
Yeah.
that part of the state. So just talk a little bit about how you were involved there.
Yeah. So the fall is our busiest time of the year, and a lot of it has to do with Tennessee football, the catering that we do. We do tailgates we have the largest tailgate at Tennessee. We cater for between 2,500 and 3,500 people on an average weekend. And this hurricane happened one during a bye week and one during an away game.
Mm.
And it was just, I just happened to have some downtime and I'm sitting in here. My wife and I were sitting on the couch and I'm watching. At first, it looked like it was going to track towards us. And then it kind of slid really about 50 or 60 miles east over into the far east parts of East Tennessee into the mountains, and as we know, slid into North Carolina. And like, I'm watching this happen. I'm like, this is not good. Like,
Mm.
I'm like, this is just really beyond anything. They had gotten so much rain before it had happened, and so I'm just kind of sitting there. And so I started talking to my buddies at TMG Pits. I was like, look, I'm going to do something. I was like, I'm just going to post something, and I'm going to say we have the ability to cook. I've got the time to cook. We have the resources. We've been blessed that this is we're flush with cash that time of year, and I just said, look, here's what we're going to do. So I think we posted on a Saturday and said, look, I'm going to cook 600 pounds of pork. I need somebody to find somewhere to send this stuff. And at that time, I got in touch with a couple of people from Operation Barbecue Relief, and they were like, "Look, we don't really know what's going on the ground. It's very, very early." I
Hmm.
said, "Okay,
Hmm.
well, I'm just going to put it where we know we can get rid of it." So we sent. I had a buddy who also runs a barbecue trailer, who hooked us up with his church, and we got it into Newport, Tennessee. So basically, we had boots on the ground in Newport within about 36 hours after this. Now, they're keep in mind, waters were still rising, that kind of
Mm.
thing, but this is after most of it had moved through. So we did this 3 weekends in a row. Um, we did Newport twice, and then we did Burnsville, North Carolina, also as well. Another thing we did. So let me back up a little bit. So the guys at TMG Pits, and I think you've had Ben on the show. Ben's talked
Hmm.
about that. They are just they've been fantastic and instrumental in that. Like,
Mm.
but we took basically. I just posted. I said, look, we're going to do this. If you want to give money, give money. I took all. We had a bunch of points with one of our food distributors, and I could have used those to buy stuff that makes us profit, but I just cashed all that out. I went to them. I said, "Look, I'm going to buy like every pork butt you have in the store. Will you cut me a deal?" And to their credit, they gave me a
Yeah.
deal. I had people that sent me, $500 here, $1,000 there. We took every bit of those funds and then took a lot of our personal and just sent them. So we during Thanksgiving we sell a lot of. It's just the weirdest thing that like as a food truck we sell a buttload of turkeys for people. They're like cooked turkeys that people will take. And so
Yeah.
this started about 2 years ago. And so we kind of just went out and said, hey, look, we are going to, for every turkey we sell, we're going to donation match a turkey and we're going to send it to North Carolina. And so that ended up being, we cooked 180 turkeys. We ended up sending 60 to Burnsville, 60 whole turkeys. And they were like, we can take more if you do it. That just, 60 was what we could fit on the
Yeah.
pit that we had, the General Road at the time. And so we ended up doing 60 of those. And so we did 180 turkeys over 2 days. Now, it's me and two other guys. I had two guys that work for me. One of them is now full time and one of them is now part time. So, this was on top of doing all our other normal business that had come
Wow.
back in. But so, we're just pumping it. But, to me, it was like, it just was a no brainer. It was a
Hmm.
simple thing we could do. I'm running a business. I've got two young kids. I can physically go to North Carolina. I can help, but why don't we use the tools and the instruments that God gave us and cook for people and then figure out, where that could be needed. So we actually ended up TMG to their credit. We also were part of their fundraiser where we got, blankets, supplies, diapers, that kind of stuff and got that into those hands as well. And so, it's an ongoing thing. Like this is not going to end anytime
No.
soon. If we're asked, we'll do it again. We just it fell at the perfect time for us. And honestly, we're so wound up during that time of year. Like I'm just focused, and I never unwind until Christmas. And that 2 weeks actually just gave me a chance just to like cook with no consequence. It was just like I'm just going to make food and help people for 2 weeks, and it actually gave me like a sense of peace I hadn't had doing this in quite a while. Just because I wouldn't think about anything other than just helping somebody else instead
Yeah.
of like, hey, when's our paycheck? We were in good hands financially. It was a good time of year for us to be able to do it. So we just decided to do it. And so Matt, we had several different people that were instrumental in that. Matt Register, Southern Smoke.
Hmm.
Matt's the one that kind of called me up and said, hey man, we've got, if you know some people that need help, if you need food, if that kind of thing, I'm like, well, we got food. We're good on our side of the mountain, but we're like, we need to be able to produce here and send it over there. That was our number one objective. Garen Kirkman was really
Hmm.
good. Like he hit me up. He's like, your family okay? You guys good? I'm like, we're good. and of course he was instrumental in bringing in a lot of stuff to these folks. So it's just like I said, and you see it now. You think that anything. I mean, these people are still. It's like 40 degrees outside.
Mm-hmm.
They're still on the ground or in campers or whatever. So it's really hard. So, and I just like I said, I just enjoyed it. I thought it was the right thing to do. Um, I was baffled by how many people came and ordered a turkey, and so we finally set up a donation turkey where like they're not even buying it for themselves, and they
Yeah.
just bought it. Somebody sent me. I had a local buddy here who runs a burger business, a burger and beer business, and he sent me a check, and from his personal account, he said, "I don't want any glory." He goes, "I just want you to take this and use it." And so it was just amazing. It was
Yeah.
amazing to see. That's the volunteer spirit, and that's people in Tennessee. That's what we do here. We love our neighbors. We love North Carolina. We love South Carolina. Sometimes we love Alabama if they're touching, Tennessee here, but that was part of what we wanted to do. So it was a really awesome experience.
Well, we thank you for it and are very grateful for all that you've done because it's meant a lot for a lot of people. So thank you
Yeah,
to you and all the people that have provided support to you as well. So I want to bring it back to barbecue again. Let's
yeah,
talk about the barbecue festival. How did you get
sure.
involved with Lewis and these guys?
Yeah, so that was through Matt Register. I mean, Matt just
Okay.
called me after we got to talking. He's like, "Hey, we've been trying to get some other guys into this festival
Mm-hmm.
other than just Carolinians." He's like, "We got Brian Furman come from Georgia. They got the guys from I can't if it's Smoketown come from Virginia."
Yep.
He's
County
like, "We've been
Smoke in
trying to get some."
Lynchburg. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, there you go. So, and I need to get up there because that's so close by to where I used to live. Like I know where this place is.
Mm-hmm.
I just have not been back to the area in a while. But Matt was basically like, we need to add some more like talent that's like from just from outside the state that's doing cool things, and that way, we can kind of team up and we can take on these guys from Texas. That's we need to have more presence. Those guys have a really tight knit community if you go to Texas, and they do their
Yeah.
festivals there. And so I thought it'd be a cool idea. I was like, look, man, I'm willing to drive. I'm willing to bring, what we need to bring. I love we've been incorporating more of that style and more of the Carolina stuff into what we're doing. And honestly, to see all of it in one place would be super cool and to see the talent that's there. So for me, it was just kind of a no brainer.
Yeah. So you mentioned seeing all the talent that's there, but what
Yeah.
else are you looking forward to about coming out to the big
Yeah.
festival?
Yeah, so I think that that's one thing is just the pit man, just meeting a lot of these guys and spending time with them. But also we don't get to cook for a lot of people where we have face to face.
Mm.
We will go, and we'll cook, but a lot of times you're kind of a recluse. You spend time, behind the scenes. I always say we work 24 hours to unload something in 2 hours, and that's whether we're in the food truck or whether you're in a retail environment, either one, like you're doing all this work. And so the relationships with people, just getting to talk to them, I think is the thing that I love the most about what we're doing. Just like you and I having a conversation. I mean, I've had this same type of conversation with a million people before,
Yeah.
and so I think that's what we'll enjoy is just seeing the people like getting out of my element a little bit, being able to go do these type of things is something. And we're blessed to be at a point to where we have employees now and we can do that where I can step away for a couple days, whereas a couple of years in the past it wasn't happening. I just we could physically, financially we could not afford to do it. So I'm most looking forward to seeing the people, man. I just enjoy that interaction. I enjoy that people are somehow in awe of what we do, and I'm like, I'm not really doing anything special. Like this is just, it's my job,
Right. Well, it's
but
fire.
yeah, yeah, but wooden fire. People think you're a hero, man. I mean, if you feed them, like you can pretty
Yeah.
much get anything in the world if you feed somebody.
That sure. Well,
So
speaking of feeding, what are you going to be feeding us at the
yeah,
festival? Have you made the decision? And while you'd
yeah,
mull about that, tell me, are you going to drag a trailer across the mountain, or is somebody hooking you up local?
we are no. So we're gonna bring our TMG pits. It's our showpiece. So
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
we got when we put that thing on social media, we got quite the buzz. So this is our eighth pit from them, and they're actually building our ninth pit now. So we're bringing Big Blue, which is a baby blue 1,000 gallon
Awesome.
smoker. Are also on that trailer. We have a 30 by 60 hog cooker, which we call the hog hauler. So for chickens, hogs, that type of thing. We also have Santa Maria grill. So right now we're working on developing, and I think what we're going to end up doing is jerk spare rib. So
Oh,
we're going to do a jerk style sauce with those. We're going to dial it back a little bit, make it a little sweeter, but I think we're going to do our style of cooking them on the 1,000 gallon, finish them on direct heat, and then dunking them in that jerk sauce and doing them that way. So I think it'd be a cool little spin. I always like throw a little spin for festivals, do something a little bit different, but kind of stick with some traditional aspects as well. So that's what we're
Yeah,
looking at right now.
that sounds great. And you'll be in good company with that spin. Again, it's the Carolina Barbecue Festival, April 4th and 5th at the Victoria Yards in Charlotte. And plenty of other pit masters put some spin on the stuff that they bring. So you won't be alone in that category. So we're going to wrap it up here right quick with you, Eric. Before we do,
Yeah.
I want to find out, you talked about the peace that it brings you. You talked about cooking with no consequence. I love the sound of that. But I know that in the business of the restaurant world, it's hard and it's not easy every day. And you go through a lot of struggles. And heck, you're coming over to Charlotte from Knoxville. What fuels your fire? Why do you keep doing this? Why are you keep going in the barbecue world?
I think for me, I just enjoy like the pageantry of it. I was a history major in college. I'm like a sucker for like American exceptionalism and authenticity, and barbecue's like this quintessential like American thing. But I also just figured out once I got in this, I was like, man, I can never go back and do an office. Like I can't. Like I did that. I did the corporate stuff, and like it just wasn't for me. And honestly, the thing that keeps me going every single day is my family and keep me coming back. There's been several points, just like all the other guys that do this, where these points of inflection where you've wanted to quit. I mean, I've probably wanted to quit 100 times. But I really do enjoy like just that, like you said, that peacefulness you get of sitting next to a fire, that feeling you get inside when you make like the best meal. Somebody says, they say it's the best meal I've ever had. Best barbecue. That's the thing that keeps you back. I mean, you could have a terrible day and then like somebody comes up to like, hey man, this is the best thing I've ever had. And you're like, all right, I'll go back to work this week. So for me, that's what it is that keeps it going. I mean, it's not a job to me. It really isn't. I mean, we've been really blessed. We make money doing it, it pays my mortgage. We have a nice living. Like it's a great thing to do for a living, but it really is just such a fun job. No days are ever the same. It's just, and sometimes that's not a good thing. You get a lot of surprises in this business, but I think that's what keeps me coming back is the variety. My brain is just so wired to where I cannot do the same thing over and over again every single day. So that's what I enjoy about it.
That's great. And that's the lowdown from Eric Pickle, the man behind the Smoked Pickle Barbecue in West Knoxville, Tennessee. Eric, thanks so much for joining the Low and Slow Barbecue Show.
We appreciate it. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, we've enjoyed it very much. And everybody out there, you've been listening to the Low and Slow Barbecue Show. And if you like what you hear, give us a 5-star rating on your favorite podcast stream. You can also share the podcast with your friends or visit us at lowslowbbqshow.com. That's where you can subscribe to the newsletter, visit our blogs, and all the other episodes with pitmasters from the Carolina Barbecue Festival. And of course, don't forget, we've got a YouTube channel. You can find the Barbecue Festival details and all the podcast interviews at the Low and Slow Barbecue Show YouTube channel. Thanks to our production team at the Mesh.tv network of podcasts, especially Andrew Moose, the man behind the monitors. Thanks again to our guest today, Eric Pickle from Smoked Pickle Barbecue. And most especially, thank you for listening. Remember, for the best barbecue and the best barbecue podcast, make it low and slow.
You've been listening to The Mesh, an online media network of shows and programs ranging from business to arts, sports to entertainment, music to community. All programs are available on the website as well as through iTunes and YouTube. Check us out online at themesh.tv. Discover other network shows and give us feedback on what you just heard.